Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. This is the time for the second part of the two parts of the Weekend Warriors. We've had the Formula Fords at Lime Rock. Now, it's time for the SRF, the Ford Spec Racers, as we head to the Nordschleife, the iconic circuit. Oh, talk about chalk and cheese in track size from one series to another. The big rig returns. Big action undoubtedly on the big circuit. I am Tim Cox. We've got Lewis and Ryan in the virtual production trailer. Right now, I'm joined as always by Charles Michelle. Charles. Oh, this is going to be. Well, I say it's going to be a long one. In fact, it's only going to be what, 5 laps? Just 5.
Yeah, it's just it's a quick 5-lap race. Now it's going to take them about a little under 8 minutes to do a lap. Because we've got a 21-kilometer layout that they're going to have to deal with today, and 100 and something corners. I can't even count them all. Don't know all the names, so if we just say, hey, they're going through the corner, take your pick. I don't know, but obviously this is the most difficult race that most iRacers have to deal with yearly, especially if you run the 24. This track is it's a monster. And it takes, there's very little time to even blink or think about what's going on. You just got to be fully focused on the entire lap, which is what makes it so difficult. Also, what makes it so rewarding when you set some good times and you end up with good results.
Well, I wouldn't know about those latter two, but I can tell you, it's like you say, it requires ultimate focus. Just keep it on the track. That's going to bank you a decent result here today. And well, let's just have a quick look at the championship standings before we get proceedings fully underway. Qualifying is ongoing at the moment. There's still got 10 minutes left in that, and it's Marco Pinero who's just become, well, it's just so dominant, and it's really showing in the point standings. Of course, see this matters. We've only had 7 races with Pinero for the full 9. Hence why he has a massive margin of 859 versus 643. Back to some miles. That's 216 points. That was pretty much looking like he's going to be champion for this season. Is the Italian Felix Miles, in second. Then it's Dantas in third, who's closing the gap up quite a bit right now. It's Bernie Sands at 34 points, and Dandalo fourth, and it's Green fifth by Schuzel, Plever, Bavini, Renders, and Jakeson to run out that top 10. And in fact, to last stage, that top 10 is getting very tight as we close out the season. It's Spec 2, it's Alan McCain who leads the way by a healthy margin, but not quite as healthy as we had in Spec 1. It's only 99 points. Wow. Gary Allbolt in second, and then Ian Gibson started to nip at his tail. That's going to be close to round out the season. That could be one to really watch out for. Philip Berry fourth, and it's Paul Jackson in fifth, and gap starting to open up, and then it gets tight again with Montgomery, Clopert, Faglini, Simpkins, and Justice separated by 60 points across those 5 places. Into Masters class, well, Masters by name, and certainly by nature. Kurt Nunes leading the way over Tom Gradwell. Then it's Adam Bradshaw with 4 points, just separating those latter two. Murakami 10 points behind in fourth. Then it's Yorkmani 7 points. He's only 7 points behind Murakami, who has only Mitchell only 4 points behind, who has 4 points. He's ahead of Jim Brewster in seventh, and then a big gap of nearly 100 points back to Bob Kern, then Longin and Cathcart to round out that top 10. It is tight as you like in Masters category. Well, let's get stuck into qualifying. Of course, we've got 40 minutes of racing coming for you. The drivers will need to make a stop as always. If you're new to this season, welcome along. Where have you been? It is an epic series. As mentioned earlier, big grid, big action. Well, if you're seasoned stalwarts of this series, great to have you back in once as always. And well, Panera, we were saying before the show, weren't we, Charles, just how close Samouth and Panera were. And then Panera goes and sticks in a better lap whilst we've been chatting away and opens that gap out to nearly a second.
Yeah.
Well, apologies, 1.8.
Yes, 1.8, yes. Which seems like a lot, but you know, when it's a 7 minute and 44 second lap, it's really just kind of a couple of tenths off some corners, and you're right there. So. It seems like a big gap, but I don't think that once we get into the race, it's going to be just him far and away. Of course, we said that before, and he's had races where he's just been completely dominant. But this track has a way of equalizing drivers, even though even if the I rating gap, which is the way that drivers race against their peers. In their finishing positions, that's kind of how that's all calculated. This track requires you can have a low I rating, but just be blisteringly quick at this track because this is the track that you love. This is the track you love to drive, and this is the track that you're good at. So you kind of throw I rating out the window a bit when you get here, and it's basically all about those lap times.
I could make some analogy there from witty banter about isn't always about the lap time zone qualifying.
it is, but it's track knowledge and it's track time, right? Obviously, you only get better when you drive a track. As you drive, you get better and better. You learn the lines, you learn what the car's capable of, and this track just accentuates that much more because it's so massive.
Well. So far, to set times, 28 drivers. Which isn't bad going, really, is it? Since we're looking like, well into the 30s. There's about 10 drivers yet to set times. Here at the Nordschleife in the SRF Weekend Warriors. And that's why we've got a bit of time here. As mentioned to one of our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy, if you want to go faster on track. With data pack setups, track guides, and much more for road and oval racing. We also have coaching sessions and one-on-one coaching sessions with some of the top pros on iRacing. So make sure you check those guys out if you want to go faster on track. So what's hard to tell who's actually going quicker with so many sectors here, Charles? It's not like what I've just had at Lime Rock, talking about 45-second lap, even in the Formula Fords. 3 sectors, nice and easy to keep on top of. Here, a little bit different, isn't it? It's a lot more challenging for us as well. Quite a few drivers hoping to improve, but you never quite know because all it takes is one mistake and you lose a lot of time around here, especially with those walls being so close to the edge of the track.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it doesn't take much. It's just one bad corner, and it's generally day done because these Armcos are very very damaging to these cars. And these cars, I think these cars are pretty well I would say pretty close to the maximum pace. There's not really a lot of what I would say slow corners here, as far as where you've got to just really get on the binders and slow down to a slow pace. I think it's a pretty nice flowing track. So you're always trying to keep the momentum in the car. So these guys are running, 60% of their fastest pace plus for almost the entire race, or the entire, as we see a little spin in Tier Garden. Stephen Mitchell.
That's what he thinks of that one.
Yeah, yep. So that's the end of that. And there you go. And just as you said, it just takes one mistake and you ruined your lap, and that was like 2 corners from the end of the lap. So that's reset. And at this point, I don't know. I had to wait and see what Mr. Stevie Ray did, if he's got this so that qualifying carries until all the cars are off the track. We'll see.
Well, that was, as we saw, the mistake there. Obviously, Devin Kelleher, he's got promoted. He's moved up into 5th place from 6th, ahead of Simon Mayer. So not all done and dusted. We see the 19.9 there, but it's only the 3.99, but it doesn't quite fit on his car with Joshua Justice. Head down the Dottinger, and if he's left it in cruise control, he's gone off, made himself a brew. He'll come back in about half an hour, and he'll be at the end of it.
There you go.
It just shows the scale of this place, isn't it? Because it's
crazy.
Still going. Now, what I'm fascinated seeing here, Charles, we've seen it season after season when we have visited this track, is that the slipstream. These cars love to slipstream. And it's coming down the Dottinger, as we've just seen there, when they're in a big pack, and they're all chopping and changing their free wide. I know we talk about like the NASCAR analogies, but it's so true around this circuit, because you've got, it's trying to pick which line, like the high line, the low line, the middle line, which one's faster. Everyone's pushing and shoving to push that line ahead and get lines working, and you can see people pass people and then get overtaken again by the person they've just passed. It's fascinating to watch.
It really is. Yeah, I was watching the early part of qualifying as they were out on their out lap, and there was basically a train of about 10 of them going down the Dottinger. And, the first guy gets basically overlapped by the 2 or 3 cars behind them, but then the 4th car stays in that line. So now you've got a 2-wide pack, and then it becomes a 3-wide as you're coming across under the bridge. And it's like, okay, so now it's a game of chicken. As you come down to Tier Garden, who's going to be the last of the late breakers? And so, this is going to be a really, as I say this every week, a really interesting race, but it truly is, because this, like I said, this is the probably one of the top, 3, 4 iconic tracks in the planet. So
that's a controversial statement, but
it really is.
I would have to agree with you in terms of recognizability. For me, it's right up there with, I would say, the Corkscrew at Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
As just iconic, well, I would say corners, but I mean, this place is just the whole place. All, was it 12, 15 miles of the place? It's just so iconic for everywhere you turn, and the graffiti on the track. And think about all the racing that used to happen here back in the day. I mean, it still does, of course, but think of when F1 used to come here, and those guys had some kahunas to hustle an opening wheel car with no seat belts in and no safety, no catch fencing whatsoever, just trees all around you, and hustling those cars along at 160, 170 miles an hour. Wow.
So for those who just go back and watch the movie Rush, there's a lot of historical video that's implanted in that from back in the 70s when F1 actually raced here. If you want to see some guys that were, the ultimate as far as bravery at a racetrack, that was
it. It was an absolute cracking film, that. Absolutely cracking film.
Absolutely.
Like you say, to bring back that history as well, and it just really goes to show how far things have come, really. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, so if I'm going back, we go back to the Le Mans is probably the most popular of the what we would call the big endurance races, but I think this is the most difficult by far. I mean,
hands down.
it's not even close.
I mean, you think about Le Mans, realistically, there's not that for the size of the place. I mean, it is a big old circuit when all said and done. There's not really that many corners.
No, I think it's more. I think it's more of a. It's more difficult for the equipment, but I think this is more difficult for the driver, and I think that's what makes this the best endurance race of the year.
I don't know if it was Sam Fitzpatrick, who'd definitely not say the Daytona 24. He does not like that track or that race whatsoever.
I mean, I get it. I get it, but it's still one of those. It's still one of those iconic races because just the history. Just like Sebring. I mean, Sebring is. I think Sebring probably more difficult than Daytona, to be fair. Even though it's only a 12-hour race, just because it actively tries to shake all the bones out of your body as you're driving it. So.
Wow. Back to two old men rambling about the past and the good old days.
The good old days.
The good old days. Monaco Panero looking like it's going to take provisional pole. Looking at the take provision, it's going to take pole. 7:44 dead. So close to being to the 7:43s. That's a big margin over Felix Samaus. And then just look at the gap then back. It's another 1.8 seconds back to Pellegrini, who's no slouch whatsoever himself, and Jason Green in there too. Darren Kelleher, for a Spec 2 driver, that is an astounding result for him to get it up.
Very good lap.
Murakami, top of the qualifiers in Masters. To be fair, inside the top 10, and many may argue as well. Still, still had a chance to possibly even have got higher. I mean, he's not only 4 tenths behind Torelli. Great to see have Sergio Torelli back. I haven't seen that name in a little while. Always runs strong as the Argentine. Thomas Renders is only then a further 10th in front of him, with then Overstreet only 2 tenths in front of them. So that's 7th through to 10th. Those 4 cars covered by not a lot of time, 7 tenths in fact, between the whole lot of them. There's going to be a few drivers out for a Red Redemption as well after the Formula 4s earlier on. Not running the best of races. Overstreet being one, Mayer being another. Murakami didn't have the best of times as well himself, so another one out for a little bit of redemption as Mayer just goes third right at the depth there. That was a lovely little lap to just pop in there, and 300ths of a second quicker than Pellegrini. Those two will share row 2 as things stand at the moment.
Yeah, it was a great lap. You get it right in there, top 3. As we see Overstreet, we may be here talking for a while because we're still. This is like the overflow on the qualifying, which may last another 3 or 4 minutes as we see Overstreet coming down. Where is she on the track? Oh yeah, yep. She's in the S's before I think the Kleiner Carousel, I believe is what I'm seeing here. Yep.
It's well spotted, Charles. I thought she was much earlier in the circuit, so there we go. There we go. There it is, the mini carousel. Dip it in, dip it out. And a bit of damage to the rear as well.
Yeah.
That won't help again down the jump. Feathers in, wrestles with the steering wheel as well.
Yeah, I know Megan is looking to have a really good race. She started off great last week, and it just kind of fell apart at the end. It ran out of fuel. Tried to save, so lost a lot of time. She was in for a podium, and it just didn't work out for her. So I know she wants to try and redeem herself this week.
Stan Dossinger. Take a little bit of a while past where you come on for the track days. This is technically actually a public road as well. Fascinating stuff. I mean, the fact that this place is technically a public road. Well, it's a toll road, effectively, because you have to pay a toll to actually get out on track. So
that is correct. Yep. Yeah, so it's a toll road, but you know, I think as I was talking with Luis earlier, he's looking to enjoy this later this year in real life, which is going to be awesome. I'm going to live vicariously through him until I get my chance to go over. Um, Hopefully, maybe next year. I don't know. I've got so much stuff going on, but there'll be a European vacation coming up, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, that'll be a lovely one explaining to your dear wife. Oh, yeah, we're going to a bit of a forest in Germany for a few days. You can just go for a wander. There's nothing much around the area, but yeah, I'm just going to a toll road because you know I'm a fan.
I assure you, Tim, my ex-wife will not care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that, Corby moving up his way, but I'm guessing ex-wife, she will become your ex-wife because you've left her while you've disappeared off.
She's already currently my ex-wife, so
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Yep.
Been there, they got the t-shirt. Now they're feeling very well.
Yeah,
Overstreet, Overstreet up into this. Yes, no, it was Murakami. Apologies, it was around that area.
That was Murakami. Yeah, P8.
Yeah, it's a solid lap from him. Of course, he was 10th. And that now puts him with obviously Overstreet not improving. Actually, I tell you what, he was only 700 slower than Overstreet, so he nearly snatched 7th place there. Would have improved on in terms of the road, but would have put him on the inside come the start as Bob Kern closing out his lap. Really deep into overtime here in qualifying, and he's going to be the last car. I was about to say the first car. Should be the last car across the line. Should be Bob Kern. Let's get that one down. And there we go. He's across the line. Does he improve? No. Is the answer to that one. A lot of waiting. For no change there. Bob Kern, have a word with yourself, my friend. No, only joking. But no, he starts 26th place. He's going to share a row with Gianni Longin. Team Masters drivers starting alongside one another as we're going to be pretty much done and dusted with qualifying. I'm just going to wait to transition across into the race session. We'll be racing 40 minutes of racing. And, well, we get to find out who has come up on top. Who's in the master of the Nordschleife taken victory here today. Money's got to be for me on Marco Panera. Realistically, the form that guy is in is just frightening. It's almost should be illegal. It is that good at the moment.
It would be hard to bet against him. But I'm not going to curse anybody today. I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to a good race. There's going to be enough of as we're sitting here talking about one, watching one car go around the track, there's going to be enough action once this race starts that we're going to be breathless by the end of this thing anyway, I think. So, because it seems like there's always something going on here at this track, even when you're in a single make series.
Just head out and, well, this is going to be a bit of a wait, because I think this is going to wait for him to complete this whole lap, isn't it? So we're going to wait now as he's only a fifth of the way round, so we've got about another 4 minutes or so before he comes across the line, unless iRacing definitely shoves it across. No, I don't think he's going to, so I'm going to have to wait for Bob Kern to complete his lap, and then we'll be across racing, unless he... I thought he was going to put the wall there. No, by mistake. He's got it in hand. He knows what he's up to and what he's doing. And, well, let's have a bit of talk about one of our other sponsors for this series, of course, RaceVoice. With numerous alerts, to say the least. Upshift, downshift, overrun of alerts, corner entry, and exit speed. So name just but a few. You can go faster with the speed of voice. Make sure you head across to racevoice.com to find out more about them and their brilliant software for iRacing. As well. Can just how much further has he got around now? He's going to be about half. No, he's not even halfway round, is he, Charles? He's a third of the way round now. He's taking his time.
Yeah, I think. I think when we get to the straightaway going up the mountain, I think is about the halfway point of this track. So he's almost there as he's going across the bridges here.
well, I say tricky part of the circuit. It's this corner here. It's the elevation change is frightening, and it feels like you should.
And there we go.
There we go. iRacing said, "No, Bob, you've had enough. You've had too long, mate.
Yep.
That's it. That's qualified done. That's it. You've had your chance." Because now it's time to form up a grid here from the Nordschleife. Marco Pedero starts on par with Felix Miles, joining him on the front row of one. Oh, you're behind the Porsche 911 safety car there. A better safety car to have than a Porsche at the Nordschleife in Germany. Simon Mayer, he's got Pellegrini for company on the row 2. Row 3, Cease Green and Dathan Kelleher. Like the top qualifier in Spec 2. Make it row 3. Row 4 is Overstreet, and top qualifier in Masters. It's Chris Murakami. Tom Renders has got Sergio Girelli for company on row 5, and Tirana on top 10. Then it's Dantas and McCain on the row 6. Row 7, Vlachusel and Smith. Row 8 is Simpkins and Nunes, your championship leader in Masters. Row 9, Jakeson and Cabcart. We top 20 ran out, and row 10, Marcus Burkitt and Fabio Scali. Rudnev has Vedmans for company, and then it's row 12 is Berry and Oxentive. Row 13, unlucky for some, hopefully not, for Gianni Longin and Bob Kern. Graham Brownlee, he has got Joshua Justice for company. No, row 14 is, no, sorry, 16 even, Jeff Horniak and Les Pleaver. Jeff Fritcher has Addison Hoagie for company, winner in the Formula 4s early on. He's got his work cut out, starting all the way from the back there. Flavio Andalos alongside Stephen Mitchell. Row 17, row 18 is Axelson and Kramer. Jones and Caleb Pocock for company on row 20. Row 21, all by himself, is Patrick Gassler. Well, the only way is up for the Floridian. He's waiting on the last couple of drivers to take to the track. Do you think it's wise to chicken out a bit and start from the pits on this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, basically, if you do, you're just going to have to. Yeah, you just have to start. Basically, you're just going to be dodging cars, right? So you can do that, and you can make up a lot of spots that way. But you're way behind. If you got any pace, you're way behind the leaders, and it's tough to make that time up. Especially on this track, it's just very difficult because you're going to have cars that crash, and then you're going to have slower traffic that you're going to have to navigate. This place is not conducive to traffic management. So I would say you'd probably want to just start on the grid and take your chances. And thank heavens for short in laps.
Oh yes, oh definitely. I mean, if we had to sit here behind the safety car for a full lap. There's filling, and then there's, well, I'm running out of things to say realistically. We might reach that stage. It might reach my when things go really bad, when servers fall down in live broadcasts, big events. There's one after running through all my research. There's one backup question: cats or dogs? If I come to that, I'm in massive trouble. But anyway, talking about not being in massive trouble, Panero controls the pace. The Porsche 911 safety car has pulled in. Because let's get ready to racing on the Nordschleife in the SRF Weekend Warrior says we are green and we are racing. Well, everyone getting away calmly, that's what you need here. Bit of a jockey for position in the midfield. A couple of people just changing one or two places. Fritcher, wow, Jeff Fritcher's at 4 already. Jeff, we haven't even got going. Nicholas Jones, he's at 4 too. As Jackson, well, he started from the pits, and so did Jeff Horniak. Took right advice there, Charles. Let's see if it pays off for him. Let's keep up to date with how Jackson and Horniak are getting on.
I think Jackson took your advice. I think Horniak may have crashed coming into the start of the race, unfortunately. So our first, I guess, casualty for the race today.
Oh yes, he's jumped to the pits, hasn't he? Yeah, something's gone wrong for him. Oh, what a shame for Jeff Horniak. But see how Paul Jackson gets on. And he's amazingly, Charles, 3 seconds off the back of the pack, which is Caleb Pocock currently. 39, so a long way to make up. But it's a long old race.
Yeah, I think 3 seconds is not horrible. I think you can make that up here. And Horniak, to his credit, he jumped to the pits pretty quickly. So maybe he gets a fairly quick tow and can take his fast repair and is able to get back out and pick up some spots. Never can tell. I think Trish ranked fairly clear, but we'll wait and see.
Wait and see, indeed, as the field make their way through right now, and everyone is just playing calm, playing it safe, a little bit jockeying for position. This driver, Devin Kelleher, he's up 2 spots already into 4 from 6. Your leader in Spec 2, flying high at the moment, 4th overall. Pellegrini just in front of him, and then, well, it's been these two. I was just about to mention them, funnily enough. Felix Melzer and Marco Pinheiro pulling away 1.5 second advantage in this very early stage. I mean, line up by this stage, Charles. I think we'd already done 3 laps nearly. A bit of a contrast here, as we're only a third of the way round the track, but that's not the point. Something different. We love coming here. It always invokes great racing. As you mentioned earlier, down the Dossinger, we'll have free wise aplenty.
Oh, for sure.
NASCAR vibes with these pushing for in lines. But at least you're going to have pulled away enough to get the job done and just scrap it out between the pair of them, right at the finish, right at the depth. But Mason see all it takes is one mistake from them, and that's it. They'll be in the wall. And this place is so unforgiving. It's Kurt Nunes that just gets it a little bit wrong.
I will say this as we're watching them go down here through the bridge. So because these are such long laps, it's going to be basically, do you want to pit at the end of lap 2 or do you want to pit at the end of lap 3? I don't think that there's going to be any other options available for these drivers.
Well, this is the tricky one, isn't it? Because it's then good to get yourself out in some fresh air. McCain just made a slight little mistake there, but well, it may even leads this place here to Nunes in the drag up the hill. McCain drivers left right now, but on them in the background. See Andrew Dantas here looking back from him. That's Thomas Renders. And Sergio Dorelli's really got away here. 1.9, in fact, nearly 2 seconds up the road. And Dantas in a bit of trouble as Renders pulls alongside. Drivers right, goes the long way round, right on the upside, up the hill. He's going to get a bit of a push here from Fleischlüssel. He thinks about it as the Cheshire driver backs out of it. It's bumping through here. Needs to be cautious. There's lots of corners.
They've got to get this cleaned up before they get to Braver Corner. There's going to be a trouble.
Hold tight, everyone. Here we go. And I tell you what, on the outside there, and it hung out to dry massively. That didn't work out, did it? Because this train just all plows straight past Dantas. Oh, no, spin!
Oh, there was a spin. Cathcart.
Oh, I can see him flipping in the background there, but they're still scrapping away here. McCain, Kurt Nunes and Jacobson. And Marcus Burkett, in fact, is just behind them as well. I think there might have been a few victims in that one. Cathcart, Gassler, Raymond. Oh, Cathcart was at the back of this train. So that's something, at least.
Got in the grass, just too high or corner. Got collected. Anybody else?
No.
Maybe there was a different incident there that picked up a couple others. But I think that was just a solo. Luckily, yeah, Cathcart just very smart to just stay over there and wait for the traffic to clear.
Yeah, he did the right thing. I mean, worked out a treat for him in the end. Worked out the absolute treat for him. He's experiencing a couple of technical difficulties right now. Opportunity just comes those. But I mean, not too sure how he managed to overcome that one. As well, I mean, it could have ended up in complete and utter disaster.
Yeah, so I think we're working through a couple of technical issues, but what I did notice that Felix Mouse had passed Pinheiro for the lead, and he's got a 3-second gap. No, I'm sorry, 3-second gap behind. So it's those two still up front.
I'm still scrapping away. So many of our drivers are. There's a few replay difficulties of transitioning back to live pictures right now. but we'll say exactly what's happening here right now. Don't you worry about that. She won't go anywhere whatsoever. I mean, Devin Keller, he's on the flyer, isn't he? He's made his way past Simon Mayer too.
Yeah, he's up to P3. Yeah, he's doing great.
I mean, just watching him drop a few places as well. Just watching the drivers head out now on to towards the Dottinger. This is yeah, you
nice
called it,
draft.
didn't you?
Yep, nice draft up the mountain. Takes the inside line. I'm sorry, the outside line at that point, which becomes inside line. I think Pinero just basically let him go.
That's the trouble of doing it in such a place, though, isn't it? Because it's so easy with late power cars just to lose momentum.
It really is.
So easy. And just lose all that pace, all that momentum, and you know, by trying to do the right thing, just lift off and let them pass. You just end up losing. You know, it just extends further and further and further. Although the gap is only 2 tenths between the pair of them, so that's nothing to worry too much about whatsoever. As what we're going to do to overcome this difficulties. There we go. We are back, and well, back with a bang. Most certainly. That's right. On to lap 2. This epic race. It's going to give all the way to the end. Now, Bob Kern, Graham Brownlee, and Nick Jones, they're all into the pits going early. Paul Jackson started from the back, remember? Started from the pits. Up to 29th so far, Charles. Back to where he started.
Absolutely.
Well, where he should have started, let's say.
So he's even for the day, and so now anything he gets is just bonus at that point. But yeah, so we did have 2 drivers come in, maybe 3 drivers. So we've seen Jones in there have pitted on lap 1. 8 minutes into this race, that's borderline on fuel, isn't it? I mean, it seems like that's really iffy if they're going to be able to make the end or not.
Well, I was seeing Kelleher and Mayer there scrapping away. Yes. Any other circumstances, any normal race, Charles? No, I would say, because, anywhere past, I'd say about minute 5, you could definitely make it home. However, due to the track size here and the, flexibility of fuel, I'm not sure whether that's enough. It's right aboard with you Simpkins drivers left right now versus Vandre Dances. Well, he was, because you Simpkins is ahead. Job done for the Dutchman, ahead of the Brazilian. Also, not Jeffrey Vem's day. He's been into the pits and had a few. No, he's had a few issues. He's carrying on again. Oh no, apologies. He is into the pits right now. As the Belgium, along with Cathcart, he's just headed out again. Alan McCain is visiting the pits too, although I think he might be caught up in a few issues. That's Caleb Pocock.
Yeah, a little deep in Adnal Forest there. Which is easy to do because you're carrying so much speed coming out of Foxhole that it's very easy to just take too much and go straight into the grass there. Or if you're like me, straight into the barrier, which is how I normally do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, Charles, it's a caveat if that's me, straight into the barrier.
Yep.
I know we share the same similar iRacings and sentiments and skill and luck levels. So
indeed.
Definitely. There's less Pleaver with Jeff Richard getting definitely a bit of grief right now. This is a bit of a tricky section, which you don't want to get wrong at all. I know it's very easy to say a lot about the Nordschleife, but fast and flowing, tight corners, one tiny mistake, and it all goes wrong for yourself and can end your race. So this could turn out to be a little bit of a war attrition. Paul Jackson, as we mentioned, obviously making up those places back to where he started. He's 9 seconds though behind Gary Warbolt, so that's going to take a little bit longer as Ding Ding around 2 for Dantas and Simpkins, and that's Dantas back in front, right around the outside. Lovely little move from the Brazilian.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just carry the speed to stay on the outside, just stay in front. And now it's the climbing of the mountain here. So could see these positions being swapped again. And Panero, I'm watching as Panero's pass the mouse again for the lead. And Overstreet's past Pellegrini for P3, as well as Green. As
Oh,
well,
look.
I think Pellegrini may have an issue. Yeah. Oh, he's absolutely just getting drafted by. That's we'll see that. That won't be the last time we'll see that today.
No, he's got Simon Mayer, the only car not to make it past Pellegrini there for Brazil, Pedro Total. As they head up towards the carousel. His advantage from Overstreet. Although this group, Charles, I've been half keeping an eye on them all race long, and they've been up, down, around, swapping places, left, right, centre, you name it. As they dip into the carousel, of course, track never used to be like that there. It used to be completely and utterly flat. It's just where the track had subsided over many years, and the racing line and it became a bit of a feature. And they decided to keep it.
I mean, it's hard to name something more iconic than the carousel. We've talked, as we were talking about earlier. That's pretty distinctive as far as track features go.
Is that that corner more or less iconic than the corkscrew at Long Beach?
I don't think
it's like choosing between your kids, that one, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. I mean, you've got this, basically concrete pad that you're going around that's basically just slingshotting you around a hairpin. And then you've got basically you're diving off of a 5-story building at about 100 miles an hour. So I think both of those are pretty on equal terms.
Equally as treacherous and as
sure.
iconic and pleasurable in every which way. So this group still continue to scrap it away right now. This is the talking of group. I mean, they're the secondary group behind this group that's scrapping away. That second one being Murakami, Renders, Dorelli, Smith, and Vlachuzel. This one being Overstreet, Green, Kelleher, Pellegrini, and Mayer. But this one is the battle for that last place on the podium, Charles. In third. Last step. You can get yourself onto it. You've still got plenty of racing left to go. I mean, crazy, isn't it? Lap 2 and 14 minutes into the race here, and driver's not even out onto Dottinger yet.
Yeah, you saw a good view of the gap from P3 back up to the front runners. 4.5 seconds. Yeah, so it depends. It goes back to these. How hard do you want to fight? I mean, obviously we're 2 laps into a 5-lap race, so there's half a race left. But do you want to push each other, or do you want to do what they're getting ready to do here, which is going too wide and making passes and things like that? So we've talked about it. Anytime that you go too wide, the cars behind catch up, the cars in front pull away. So there we go. I saw a little bump drafting there with Overstreet and Green, I believe.
We're pushing and shoving. I think Kelleher involved in the middle there too. As Mayer still at the back of this group, and Pellegrini's going to take control over Overstreet. They still arrive too wide there. And the chasing pack is closing in on them. That's the interesting point here.
Yeah, that 5-car train's about to become a 9-car train. So that'll make it even that much more fun when they come down there again.
Be interested to see, because I think realistically they all need to pit together. As there's Kurt Nunes talking to pit together, he hasn't. He's pitted alone. There's Simpkins too, currently 17th, down a couple of places. Did have, I think, a bit of an incident there. He came off track and cost him a little bit dearly. Because Nunes, first driver, I tell you what, he's the only driver to go at the end of lap 2.
He is. He came out in a really good spot. There's a pretty sizable gap behind him. So, or there was. So now that gap's about 2 seconds. But he's got 5 seconds of clear track in front. So if he's got good pace, he's going to make up. I think that might be a good call. I think he might make up just by being by himself or being in front of the next train. He may be able to make up quite a few seconds of track time by pitting by himself. So let's see how it works out.
This is the danger, though, isn't it? Because when you haven't got someone to slipstream with, that then costs you dearly in other ways. As Greets just dropped a couple of places within that group as well now. Just off camera, that was Scully and Trent Kramer having a bit of a visit to the pits. That's another one stopping early. He's yet to stop. Though a bit of damage to his Ford Spec racer from earlier contacts earlier in this race. As there's Les Pleaver just making his way past of Corbett team past Jeff Richer. That was a bit of a brave place. Not somewhere I would do it personally, but then
Yeah,
to play a bit safe and leave it to either up the hill very early on or down the Dottinger.
yeah. It's you don't want to be too wide through Swedenkreuz. That's just that's a recipe for disaster, especially if you're on the outside. So yeah, it was good to get that pass done before you went into that high speed left-hander, and so it was a good move by him.
This group still being led by Overstreet. There is a slight attack for that section, Charles. They've actually taken a bit of time out of our top two. A couple of 2-3 attempts, in fact, I'd say, out of Panera and Samals. So despite all the hard racing that is going on, and the group behind them, let's give a bit of a check. So they are guessing away as well by about 2 or 3 attempts than Dorelli, who's heading up that group behind.
Yeah, I think Dorelli may be the cork in the bottle for that group at this point. I don't know if he's got the pace. Maybe Murakami or Renders, Vasluzal Murakami and Renders may want to try and get by and take the lead and maybe pull them up to the bigger group in front.
This is the crazy thing, isn't it? Because we're such a big track, because quite often, we're always, quicker in one part of the track, slower in another. So that is Wall Bolt past Paul Jackson. Jackson's starting to make up a few places now. We're always, each driver's faster in one part of the circuit, slower in another. When you've got a place like this, that's a real challenge of knowing what to do. And unless it's your teammate in front of you or behind you, then coordinate it as well. It's so tricky to work it there. If you're better through the back end of the circuit, but that's like 2 or 3 circuit limits around this place. And it's so challenging to know how to work this, and especially if they're not your teammate as well. We're going to see it up the hill, drag race on. Overstreet's going to lead the lead of this group. Looks like the advantage for Pellegrini, but will Kelleher follow through? I think he's going to.
Yeah, it's looking like Overstreet's doing a good job just kind of hanging on the outside. But once again, that's the corner that you'll be a single file through. That's just not a place that you want to try and pass. Even with the great drivers, that's a challenge to try and make passes there. So they did a good job to just get back in line. And so Megan's dropped a couple of spots, but this group's still kind of hanging in there, and looks like they're still pulling time on the cars in front.
They are, aren't they? They've had another 3 or 4 attempts. So they've had a game of, I'd say, about 5 or 6 attempts, haven't they, on this group ahead?
They have.
Ever slightly just reeling them in. It's going to be interesting to get some lap times when they do eventually come across the line, as they're, 60% away around the track right now.
I think, sadly, most of them will pit this lap, so it won't have a really representative lap time, but we'll see. I mean, somebody may take a chance and try to do it on lap 4. But once again, that's kind of, you're in the same boat that you are with lap 1. It's a very tricky proposition.
Oh, that it is indeed. It is an extremely tricky proposition. So, I'm guessing that Glee group also, I'd say from that drop off pace, maybe fuel saving a little bit as well. Maybe trying something a little bit different.
It wouldn't shock me at all. Because we've seen that during some of our other events, where get a pack out front, get a nice gap, and they'll just go into fuel save mode to try and make those pit stops as short as they can.
So it's Pellegrini. I tell you what, he's got a bit of a wiggle on here, Charles. Look, he's pulled out a second over Kelleher and Overstreet and co. And they're getting caught now by Dorelli, who's closed that gap down to 7 tenths. Slipstream will kick in now. With the danger coming up, not too far away, they could be in a lot of trouble here. And you said earlier, didn't you, about that group becoming, what was it, a 4 or 5-way battle up to about a 9-way battle. Well, it's starting to happen right now. Though Murakami just being just holding up Renders a little bit. And Vlaishuzil's dropped off the back of this group, hasn't he?
He really has.
He's 4 seconds down. Pellegrini's only further now. He's put another 3 tenths on Kelleher. 3 tenths shots, that's a lot.
That's a lot of time.
Here we go. Winding it up, down the danger we go. How are they going to all emerge? Down the other end, who knows? Nobody knows. I'm not sure even they know. Are they going to close in any more to Pellegrini? They need to push one another as here comes Overstreet. She goes for it to driver's right of Kelleher. So you mentioned about the cork in the bottle. I think that's definitely been Kelleher at this stage in the race. Kelleher ducks in behind Overstreet. Behind them, it's, Dorelli going for it. 3 wide here, down the danger. This is what we come to see. This is what we paid for. As who's going to take this one? Who's going to yield? Who's going to back out? Who's got the overspeed? And Overstreet drops down to 7. Kelleher down to 6. Mayer's up into 4. But Dorelli from the back of this group, all of a sudden, he could even get himself up into 3rd, but no, has to tuck in for 4th.
It's pretty amazing to watch. There we go. We've got some pit stops, and we do have some people that are going to gamble. Dorelli stayed out. Mayer stayed out.
Green.
Yeah, so.
Panere, Samals, Pellegrini, Kelleher, Overstreet, Murakami, Renders, Vaishluzel, Smith's in, Jacobson's in, Tentus, Rudnev's carried on. That's brave. They're going for it. They're gambling. There's Pleaver in.
And that last minute. that was very close. But I did see the 2 leaders also came in. So.
Now, Charles, I'm just trying to have a bit of... Well, they're all pretty much, from this point onwards... and Darlow's the one carrying on. Normally, we're talking about the ones that have pitted. In this case, it's the ones that haven't pitted, because there's been so few. So, yet to pit, Dorelli, Mayer, Green, Rudnev, and Darlow. Anyone else going to gamble? No. Well, there's still Mitchell and Walbot, but they're only just coming around to that part of the circuit. So, yeah, what Mitchell is in... I'm going to guess Walbot's going to come in too. There's Killer, Pocock and Paul Jackson. Now, Paul Jackson did save a little bit of fuel by not taking the pace lap, although it did start on the back straight, so not a tremendous amount that he would have saved. What's he going to do? He dips in. So, who else continued on? I think everyone's, from this point downwards, they're all coming in.
Rarely stayed out. But he'd already pitted, though, so he'd already been in for his fuel stop.
So let's just have a bit of a sort out of this and how it's all panned out. So Kelleher is ultimately still leading Spec 2. Murakami is ultimately still leading Masters. It's just what Dorelli's done. He had that great run to the line. Obviously picked up the slipstream, went from, what was he, about 8th? And carried himself all the way up to 4th. Nearly into 3rd. Now he's taking control and will be in the lead. There's Brad Cathcart and Jeff Horniak coming around. But has he done enough? Has he got enough pace stashed inside him to really take the fight to this group? And Panero's lost a lot of time during that pit stop phase. He's put 5 seconds more fuel in compared to Felix Amals.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
Interesting. That's interesting because I don't know how else to explain that, but yeah, that is unlike what Panero would normally do. He's normally one of the ones that's kind of pushing the limits of his fuel usage during these races. So for him to take that extra length of time, that's a very interesting pit stop. I'm not going to say we won't call it strategy.
Well, I would say the outlier in this, Charles, looking at everyone else's, is that for Samals is the outlier because he was stationary for 11 seconds.
Right.
Now everyone else stationary for 16, 17, 18 seconds.
Yeah, so maybe Samals did enough fuel saving behind Pinero, as he was behind him for the majority of the first part of the race, that he could take a little bit less fuel. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see once the last few hit how much time they're going to spend in pit lane, where they're going to end up coming back out, if it's going to pay off for them.
So Kurt Nunes has just dropped a couple of places behind Burkett and Simpkins. So that moves that moves Nunes down to what, third in class from second as Burkett got past him. Wow. Renders didn't have the best pit stop. Well, they were not too bad. Just slow entry, I'd say, because those stationary for half a second less than Murakami. He was now in front of him. In fact, Murakami, so he made his whole pit stop, well, got it all complete, including the actual stop, by 2 tenths longer. So, yeah, definitely Renders losing out a little bit there.
So Mayer's taking over the lead here.
I think these two need to slipstream to work together to the chance to get as far away as possible from that group after they do come into pit.
Oh, he got spit out of the too much speed going into the carousel there. Got spit out, which is never a good thing, because I have done that before, and it's about a second lost if you're not in the carousel versus if you are.
It's the 145 there, taking a bit of an excursion through the grass. That was Flavio Andalo. Now I think Andalo's lost a little bit of time. Yeah, he has. Well, Jacobson and Burkett have come on past him. He's, in fact, I think he must have come off track or something's happened to him. Let's see if he's got any damage to his car, because that's not going to help him whatsoever if he has. I don't think he has, so he's okay. Meanwhile, back to this battle. Still, Overstreet, Pellegrini, Kelleher, Murakami, Renders. Lashtusen's dropped off even further, in fact. It's a bit of a mistake from Kelleher there, and I think that's just going to allow, maybe not, Murakami remains where he is.
Just kind of looking, Pinero's managed to get by Rudneff. Overstreet looks like she's closing the gap on him. So I'm not sure if he's if he's off. His last lap time is a little bit off from the people around him. So probably not the fastest guy on the track. So that's probably helping Overstreet out. So she maybe make up the gap. But it's a pretty significant gap. It's 6 seconds between. It's 8 seconds between Overstreet and Pinero. So in that pit exchange, it did hurt that next group of cars.
Yes. It's calmed down a bit. I think they all know that. Right. Okay. We've got 10 minutes remaining. Well, they're going to take the white flag when they cross the line. Very dramatic to say at 4 laps, but this is the Nordschleife when all's said and done. Right.
Yeah, and the group that we were watching as they were coming in the pits, Overstreet, Pellegrini, Kelleher, Murakami, Renders, there's gaps between all the cars now. So, somewhere around 2 seconds between them. So there was not that big pack anymore. So that's going to negate any chance of them being able to work together to make up time.
That's why, talking of working together, Dorelli being pushed here by Simon Mayer. Mayer pulls out though, out from the slipstream and into the lead here at the Nordschleife in the SRF Weekend Warriors, but these two yet to pit. Now the interesting one is where Pinero, I mean they've clearly had a cracking in lap, low fuel. Those cars are going to felt great and are going to run even better. There's Rudneff. Well, they go free one in the background there. That's Murakami, Kelleher and Renders swapping around. This is what we love to see. Free one. Kelleher, I think as well. I think he was just the one slowest of these three. So I think Renders and Murakami are going to be happy about that. There's Mayor Dorelli in. Green comes in too. Rudnev will stop as well. But I think for me, the interesting one is Marco Pinero. Where are they going to come out in relation to him? I think he's the vulnerable one, not Overstreet. I think they will have cleared Overstreet, that's for certain. But let's find out together.
Right.
Smouse is in the pits. He's had to. Oh, he didn't put enough fuel in, Charles. He's throwing it away. He's throwing it away. And Mayer's out. Mayer's out in front. He's come out of Overstreet, so he's had a great stop. Dorelli comes out behind Overstreet. Smouse is in the pits. I think he's. And he's come out again. Oh, his fueling will have been all out and some pot.
Yeah.
Oh, he's thrown away the victory.
You hate to see those mistakes like that. He had such a great run going, and to realize that he underfueled. So add insult to injury, came in and probably didn't have his fuel set right, probably overfueled. The second time, 67 kilohertz. He's dirt tracking it around through Hotzenbach.
Right, sit rep. Where are we? Charles, you said about that group being broken up. Well, guess what? It's game on, and now it's a fight for second. Mayer, Overstreet, Dorelli, Green, Pellegrini, Renders, Murakami, Kelleher, all in the fight, and it's the last lap. Hold on. No, I think we're going to have one more lap after this. Look at where the clock is now. I think we've got another lap left in this.
Oh, you may be right, and there may be a much bigger group pitting at the end of this lap if they didn't get enough fuel to run 6 as opposed to 5.
Wow,
that's going to make things interesting.
No, it is. Oh, it is. Who's about for me? So Mayer put in 14.6 seconds of fuel. Overstreet 15.3. Now Mayer did stop a lap later than Overstreet, so okay. You can argue with that. I think Sergio Girelli is in a great situation here because he put in 16.75 seconds of fuel. That's how long he was stationed. So he's put in more fuel than Green, who stopped on the same lap. More fuel. No, Pellegrini went 20 seconds, so he's a really good shout here. Thomas Renders was the same time as Dorelli, so I think that then puts Dorelli in a really good position potentially. Charles, this has got a few more twists and turns to the tail in this.
Yeah, I mean, as if this track didn't have enough turns.
No.
So now we've got this that we're going to be watching to see if we have any more last minute pit stops. And surely this doesn't make things give some mouse the upper hand.
I don't know. Well, I didn't even think of that. But you could be absolutely spot on. There's me saying, "Oh, Felix Mouse, what have you done? You've thrown away the victory."
Oh, we were both saying that. So it's just, did he realize it before everyone else and come in and take the extra fuel for another lap?
Charles, I love it. I love this. This is all of a sudden, as our producer Lewis said, the plot thickens. And to use it as on the on the curry analogy, I mean, it's the scale of spiciness. I mean, this was never a chicken korma. Start off with, it's the Nordschleife. You're always going to start off with a chicken tikka masala. We've worked with these skips, I think a lamb rogan Josh. I think now we're up into probably, I'd say not quite a vindaloo, but we're not far off it. And we all know vindaloos are explosive. And I think this is going to explode right near the end because we just don't know. Are we going to run out of time? Well, I mean, has Samals thrown it away? Are we going to have an extra? If we do, Samals all of a sudden looks like he's sorted. Will everyone else have to pit? We just don't know. Where are they? They're halfway round. They've got 3 minutes left. They're still so close to be able to tell.
It really is.
Well, they've got 4 minutes left on the clock, okay? They're just over halfway. I think they've got one more lap in this, Charles. I think they might just have one more lap. I mean,
I think so.
I'm basing it on a timer up there. Let's see what it actually says in sim. So, what have we got here? Now, I think, right, I don't know. I think we might not have an extra lap based on in-sim time. I just don't know anymore, Charles. I just don't know, but I absolutely love it at the same time.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be... I would have expected to come up with a white flag. I did not see it as they came across the start-finish line.
That's a really good point, that. That is... I tell you what, due to the beauty that sim racing is, just bear with me, Charles. I'm gonna disconnect from the live pictures. If something happens, scream blue murder.
Okay.
And I'm gonna rewind the clock because let's face it, we can do this in the sim racing world and find out exactly was the white flag out when they came across the line, because as you said, I don't remember seeing it. We were so engrossed in what was happening in the pit stops and trying to fathom all that out.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what the result of that is. But yeah, it's you know, as far as on the track here, it's just basically Dorelli, Overstreet, Mayer. They're still kind of battling there. They're jockeying for position there in P2 through P4. We've got Green, Pellegrini, Murakami. Not so much Murakami, but Pellegrini and Green trying to close that gap.
Well, Charles, I can't see. I've done it a few times because I'm still not 100% sure, but I can't see any white flag.
The Panero is now coming through the Kleiner Carousel with a little under 2 minutes to go. So I don't think, I mean, these cars are not, as we talked about, not the fastest cars in the world. But I think he can make it from there to the end. He's just now coming on to Dodger.
Oh, that's Murakami
off.
He's going to fall off the draft train as well. Right, that's one name crossed off this list. Weisslusa is 9 seconds out of the race, so he's not in the equation to get involved in this mix. So it's realistically, I mean, this could end up being a fight, a freeway fight. Mayer, Overstreet, Dorelli.
Yeah, I think I think Panero's going to cross the line before the 40 minutes are up. I mean, there's still a minute 10 left.
Yeah, they've done it. So, right, we get to enjoy this one more time. So, but has Marco Panero got enough fuel to get himself home? Well, let's find out. He's going to come into the pits. So, Lewis, our producers...
He's maybe fuel saving and lifting and coasting?
Is he going to come into the pits? Is he overcooked?
Nope. He's going to try it. He is definitely losing time to the group behind with Overstreet, Durrell, and Mayer for sure.
Oh, Overstreet on the grass, but saves it. But, well, there we go. Yep. We are going one more time.
Ooh, here we go.
Here we go. Overstreet says fastest lap of the race. She was 3 seconds faster, 3.2 in fact, faster than Marco Panero last time around.
That was a very impressive lap.
But if he is I mean, I like what producer Lewis said, he was backing out of it. Now, was he backing out of it to try and make sure that they didn't have to go around one more time? In terms of fuel saving, Charles, he put in more fuel than what Overstreet did.
He did.
By a good nearly a second. 9 tenths, in fact, to be precise.
Yeah, this is another one of these last lap surprises that we end up seeing quite frequently here at Spec Racers for Weekend Warriors. He definitely sounds like this. Let's see as we get down here to slide the points.
Charles, I know from only watching Pro Series what full commitment looks like, and that is not full commitment, certainly what we've seen somehow from Marco Panero. Yeah, he's out for a Sunday drive. It looks like he's trying to copy more of the Tim Cox, Charles Michel track guide than something like a Jamie Fluke track guide going on there right now. Or certainly even a Marco Panero one, the way he's been behaving this season. Absolutely scintillating form the Italian has been in. No two ways about it. Dorelli leads in that freeway battle of the last 2 podium places. Mayer But effectively, Dorelli and May have swapped places, and Overstreet still remains in third. There they are, storming through. They are not fuel saving. They're not hanging around whatsoever.
But Panero's doing a good job of keeping that gap, though. It hasn't really moved more than a couple of tenths since they started the lap. So I think at this point he may be saving where he can, but it's not really affecting his lap time.
Samaels, in fact, is catching up to the back of Pellegrini. 3 seconds is the gap, Charles. Now I know Pellegrini must have come off track a little bit because he was ahead of Murakami. Murakami did come off the track and lost a lot of time. So, but even so, they're still Murakami's. Yeah, he was about where he was. Yeah, Vaisusa was 9 seconds behind, wasn't he, at that stage? So, these guys are catching up with the power of Felix Samaels, turbocharging them and supercharging them up into the back end of the Brazilian ahead of them.
Obviously running great pace was his last lap. Obviously we couldn't tell because he had the 18-second or the 32-second pit stop. But yeah, obviously he's made up quite a bit of time on track, which is what you expect because he was running basically. It was him and Panero out front by a pretty sizable margin for most of the first half of the race.
Also off camera, Renders has got past Devin Kelleher for 6th place. Kelleher's still leading Spec 2. So here comes Kelleher straight back past Renders up the inside there. Job done for the 67. Well, he's changing class, of course. Renders Spec 1. Spec 2 for Kelleher. Murakami leading the Masters class. He's over overall. It says their competition, so Vaisusa second and Smith third in Spec 2. They're 11 to 12 respectively. In terms of Masters, Marcus Burkitt, hello, up 5 places into 14th is the Welshman. He's into 14th, second in class, and it's Kurt Nunes, because that incidentally really hurt him. As Overstreet's got past Dorelli, and also Kelleher back past, so Brendan's back past Kelleher.
Those 3 cars working together are really helping make up on the straights, making up quite a bit of time on Panero.
Wow.
It's still coming down.
I just sat there watching brilliant SSDK live timing software that we use for our broadcast here in Apex Racing TV. And I just sat there and watched the interval go 5.2, 5.0, no, it feels like even up at 5.8, 5.9, wasn't it? And then just what, 5.8, 5.7, 5.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. They're coming. But are they going to run out of track? 6 tenths of the way round is Panero, and he's feathering like mad that throttle.
If they get within a couple of seconds of him by the time they get to the Nottingham, it's going to be game on. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold them off if they can get close enough with those 3 cars working together. If they stay together, that's the key. If they immediately just fan out 3 wide, that's going to be the best thing Panero's going to enjoy seeing that in his rearview mirror. They've got to stay as close as they can and in line until they get to the very end of this and make the last couple of corners, Tiergarten and Sabina Smith's curve, before they try and make any kind of sudden moves to get a spot.
There we go, 4.7, 4.8 in fact, it's just down to, so Panero is definitely cruising this one. I mean, this sort of margin, he could afford to though, this is a scary thing, but then this is the Nordschleife, he's still got so much of the race to go, it's fallen down, 4.7, it's into the 4.6s. I think, like you say, they need to form a draft train of 3 cars and push all 3 at the same time if they want to stand any chance if they're 2 seconds back. However, Dorelli's got other ideas, the way he's harassing and haranguing Overstreet right now, and this might,
almost under 4. It's these little straights. Every time they get on these little straights, they're making up tons of time.
I think 4 seconds is going to be enough for Panero. It's 4.2. Oh, let's find out. I mean, they can see him in the distance. If they work together, if they push together, they will do this potentially. But here we go. The dotting jet begins. You're going to give it everything you've got, guys. This is it. All or nothing. 3.9 the gap. I think Paneri might have enough. 3.8. It's going to come into 3.7. Mayer's too far back. Here comes Torelli with the push on Overstreet, but he pulls out as he tries to get himself up into second position. They're closing on Paneri. It's down to 3.2. Overstreet steps back in once again and goes through it again on Torelli, who's going to lose it once more. What can Mayer do? He's closing in. It's 2 tenths. He's behind. He's 1 tenth. It's 2.8 ahead of them. Look at, here comes Simon Mayer right round the outside, storming into second. And is ahead of Torelli, and Overstreet is then back ahead as you look back from Panero, and it's about that two-way fight for the last step on the podium. Is it going to be Overstreet? Is it going to be Torelli? As they're still side by side, as Panero will take it. Mayer's going to get second, and Overstreet sneaks in ahead of Torelli, but runs it in deep. And here comes Torelli. Can he sneak in at the last? Panero takes the victory, but it's all about that battle, and Overstreet gets it as Torelli, I think, just got pushed right onto the grass.
Wow.
Wow. 2
So,
seconds, Charles. 1.9,
yeah,
in fact.
1.9. Yeah, 1.9. It was just under 2 seconds. Oh, and there's a, as you see the last corner there, Rudenev. Who was that? Was that Jacobson?
Yeah, Jeff Jacobson. Well, here comes Les Bleaver, who may well pick up a place here. On Jacobson, this is going to go right to the wire. Oh, sneaks up the inside. Can Jacobson hold on with the momentum? Yes, he does, by 1/10. Marco Panero started with a 6.5 second advantage that final lap.
He did. Yeah. I think they were too far back to make it to a point that they could have challenged for the win, but it would have been very interesting to see what happened if they. I mean, you know, they pulled basically 2 seconds on him down the straight.
Oh, Philip Berry's fuel saving. Oh,
yes,
dear. I tell you, we've still got Racing Unknown going on, but unfortunately, we're already quarter of an hour over the broadcast limit. I'm just going to bring in Megan over. She's sat there waiting patiently. Megan. We didn't expect it. We weren't sure if this was going to go one more. It did. Apologies if I cut you off at any time soon, as we've still got racing going on. There's Philip Berry going to get it. Turn right round the outside. Leaves it to the last second. It's going to time it to perfection, potentially the 888 machine, and gets it done. Yes, he does. Oh, Philip Berry, what a lovely little move there on Stephen Mitchell right at the depth. I thought it was fuel saving. He wasn't. Yeah, Megan. Wow. Yeah. I'm not a words. I mean, that battle kept us forward all the way, and then you were catching Marco Panero at a rapid rate of knots too. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I think he was starting to run out of gas. I had 0.1 gallons left there at the end, and I was pretty afraid that I was going to start running out of gas too, but I'm glad I didn't for once, considering I threw away a second last week because of that.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was a bit worried because you stopped the shortest out of everyone to the point of actually, I think it was at Felix Miles. He actually stopped again, which threw away his chance of the victory. I think he would have won it otherwise if he got his fueling right the first time. But I mean, even so, just talk us through very quickly. Let's say a bit cautious on the time. That run to the line. Wow. It was you. It was Torelli. It was you again, and then Simon Mayer out of nowhere, looking like he missed out on this, just stormed past the pair of you.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job of hanging back just at the right distance so he get that good overspeed and pass both of us.
Wow, so I think third, not a shabby result around the Nordschleife at all. Congratulations, Megan. Well, good for next week. Chalk and cheese. We're off to Brands Hatch Indy.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Right, so I'm just gonna drag in Simon Mayer very, very quickly. Simon, just talk us through that run to the line. You nailed that one. That was beautiful.
Hi guys, yeah. I just apologise to Megan because I sandbagged to the last straight. stayed in third because I knew third was a position to be.
Well, I mean, it worked out all to a treat in the end, didn't it? And just the overspeed you carried, that move to get yourself into second was just, wow, amazing.
Yeah, it's a good race. Lots of fun. Thanks to Steve and you guys for broadcasting.
Absolute pleasure.
All the people racing.
Yeah, I mean, absolute spectacle this week. Absolutely stunning stuff. Congratulations on second in the end. A great result.
Thanks.
Wow. Has everyone crossed the line? Have we got? No, we haven't. No, so we can't even get you some classified results. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's slip in very quick. Go on, Charles. I'll let you. It's being a Masters category driver yourself, technically.
Yeah.
It's Chris Murakami.
Chris.
Hey guys.
Hey. Wow, what an interesting battle. Interesting race. Battles everywhere. I saw that you were kind of up and down. You were in a group, and it just seemed like that was the order of the day.
Yeah, pretty much, and just trying to not get into any problems. The fifth lap, I missed I went a little long the corner before the carousel, and I think I had Thomas on the inside of the carousel there, and then not used to being high, ended up touching the wall. That hurt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we did see. I think you got. I can't remember what corner because there's so many where you were just kind of off track a bit. But still, P8 class win. Not a bad day's work.
No, I'll take it. Yeah, especially well, I didn't get my quali until the second to the last lap or something. I was concerned I wasn't even going to get a quali in.
There you go. It all worked out then. So great job.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Chris Murakami there. So wait for the last few drivers to.
I will. Tim, I will say this. Mouse did come back and finish 10th. So he did kind of acquit himself a bit. Obviously not what he was expecting since he was battling for the race win for most of the race, but he did get a top 10 out of that.
Solid result in the end, then. Solid result. I think we're just waiting on Brad Cathcart to cross the line. I'll tell you what, we'll start reading through some of the results now. So Paneri with the victory in the end by a meager 1.9 seconds. He was running close and nearly ended up losing the win here. Simon Mayer times it to perfection to slingshot himself into second. Overstreet picks up that last podium place. Sergio Dorelli in the end. He was a driver that lost out 3 cars, 2 positions on the podium. Jason Green, he finishes 5th. For your winner in Spec 2, Devin Kelleher, 6th overall. Render's 7th, Murakami, who we've just spoken to, he finished 8th overall. Then it's Pellegrini, Victor Miles. Well, that double stop really hurt him. And, well, if he got it right the first time, he would have won here today. Blythe Steusel and Smith were 11th and 12th, 2nd and 3rd in Spec 2, respectively. Then it was Dantas. Burkett picks up 2nd place in Masters. Then it's Rudnev, Jacobson, Poliva 17th, Justice, Axelson. He was up 18 places. Sharky Mark Axelson. Congratulations. Great result from you. Someone didn't even spot throughout the race. Kurt Nunes rounds out your top 20 and the podium in Masters. Then it's actually, at the end, only up 4 places from where he should have really started, despite starting from the pits. There we go. Got some proper results in now as we are up to Paul Jackson 25th. McCain 26th, then it's Walbolt, Accentive, Venmans, Horniak, Brad Cathcart, who we've just seen cross the line there in 31st. Then we have got, I've lost one. There we go. Jeff Fritcher 1 lap down, then we're into retirement. So we only did 6 laps, so it doesn't seem too dramatic. But Fritcher was 1 lap down. Scarley, Gassler, and Simpkins and Darlow all 2 laps down. We lost them lap 4. Lap 3 was Kern, Brownlee, then Jones and Kramer on lap 2, and Anson Hoagie fortunately did not make the first lap. Well, that's definitely all we've got time for. Full on overtime here from the Nordschleife. I've been Tim Cox with Charles Bichat and Lewis Araya. What a finish, what a race, what a Sunday. We get to do it all again in a week's time here at Apex Racing TV. We'll see you then.